weighted average. Here we are, page 14. Consider lender's loan constant and borrower's down payment portion. What? Cash on cash return. I have that formula later, just next page, I believe. What is a loan constant? Example. If you borrow a $100,000 loan at a 10% rate, okay, let's say it's 5 years fixed, amortized 25 years, so you don't need to pay off in 5 years. You do, but your monthly payments at 25 years, okay? You pretty much pay $1,094.94, okay? So $100,000, 10%, you pay $1,094. What is your loan constant? 0.1094. 0.1094. In other words, every dollar loan you borrowed, the banker like to use loan constant, right? All the bankers there? Yeah, easy. Every dollar you borrowed, you pay almost 11 cents to the bank. That's what it meant, okay? You pay 10.94 cents to the bank, including principal and interest, okay? Then your own desired rate of return. Next page. Now, here you go. Effective gross revenue, I skipped that step, otherwise it doesn't fit the page, okay? It's original gross rent minus your vacancy and collection loss. So you have right here effective gross revenue. Then minus total operating expenses, then you have your net operating income. That's the key, right? Minus leasing commission and the capital costs. You have cash flow before debt service and the taxes. Then minus your debt service, that's your principal and the interest. You have cash flow after debt service before taxes. Then you use that right there is that cash flow after debt service before taxes, okay? Use that divided by your initial investment. So you have a cash on
When you say initial investment, it's the amount.
down payment. Yeah, down payment. You pay the 30%. $1 million, you pay the $300,000. That's your initial investment. Okay, right? So that's how you decide the cash on cash return. So now let's go back to that one page. Well, next page has example. I gave example right there. So now, right there. Mortgage loan, banker say I loan you 70%. Okay? So that 70% times 8% of loan constant. Okay? You have a 5.6% banker desired rate. Okay? Then equity part, you're going to pay 30% down. 30% down multiplied by that cash on cash return. The page we just did. Okay? Cash on where? Right there, that formula. Use that formula. So now you have a what? 9%, assuming, okay? So you have 2.7%. Now your total weighted cap rate is 8.3%. This thing is by far more accurate than what we were talking about. That traditional or the widely used cap rate, okay? So really this will help you. When you look at other people's appraisal report, don't just file them on the desk somewhere. You got to read them, okay? You find out the weakness of the appraisal report there. Net operating income. I'm going to cover that quickly, okay? When you overstate your net operating income, remember that formula. Net operating income divided by what? Capital, by your purchase price. You have a cap rate. So when your numerator is overstated, your cap rate is overstated, right? Assuming the bottom maintain constant. So when your net operating income is understated, then what happened? Your cap rate be understated. So par be the best, okay? So net operating income, you got to understand that. Doesn't matter if you're accountant or not. Protect yourself, okay? You got to kind of somehow gain some knowledge on that. Must know what period of net operating income. The reason I tell you that, you might not think of that. You can play all kinds of tricks with that. Okay? I'm not teaching you to play tricks, but I want you to be aware of it. How do you do that? Well, I might use last year's expenses because last year's expenses were lower. And I use projected revenue for the future. So I combine it, nobody ever know. If you don't stay, nobody know, okay? Or you use last 1 month expense, project the whole year expense. Or did you use last quarter or last half year or whole year, project the future? So all kinds of things you can play. So in other words, if you didn't really know how they did it for you, you don't ask questions. Your job is to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, you don't get answers, right? If they can't answer you, then it's not your fault, it's their fault, okay? So do your job and don't give them a break, okay? 3 approach for appraisal report. Income capitalization, right? And then you have sales comparison. Then you have a cost approach. Cost approach is out of window. Nobody uses cost approach today. 3-4 years ago, people still do. Why is that? Nowadays, everybody, if they don't know what to tell you, they say, buy this property is way below cost. You hear that, right? What does that mean? Cost you back then, shopping center, maybe $300 square foot bill. Today, probably what? People willing to work for less. You see people stand on the road, right? Work for food. Yeah, so people, everybody, including me, you know, if I used to charge $300 an hour consulting fee, now I'm willing to charge $200 an hour to do consulting. So overall cost, materials lower, labor is lower. Overhead, mostly it's not lower, but can be lower too. Electricity, how often you see electricity go down? In this bill, in this appraisal report, actually electricity went down. Okay, I didn't put it in there because small items, so I didn't mention them out. Okay, I give you the important items. Anyway, 3 methods, let's look at it. Income capitalization, direct capitalization, that's the one we were talking about. Net operating income divided by purchase price of the comp property. You have what? Different properties cap rate, and then use that cap rate, come up with a final number, so you say that's my cap rate. Okay? So that's direct capitalization. Compare with net income. Then the next one, discounted cash flow, DCF analysis. To make it quick, discount cash flow is not difficult. Don't be afraid of it. You got to understand present value. Okay? If your property first year generate, let's say $100,000 net income for you. Next year, $200,000. I'm just throwing numbers. Could be 110, okay? Maybe 110 sounds a bit better, more reasonable. First year, 100,000. Next year, 110. Third year, 120. So all the way, oh, I only have 5 minutes. I got to hurry. Anyway, so you have a 10 years cash flow stream. You discount them to today's value. Okay, $1 10 years down the road, today might worth what? 60 cents or 50 cents. So you add them all up. Plus, in the end, your exit strategy, you want to sell that property, right? How much you think you might sell? That converted today, that is your present value. So you have 2 value add up, that's your property value actually. Okay, that's all it is, discount cash flow. So sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Yeah, but you build up, okay? Direct capitalization, we covered that already. Discount cash flow here, a stream of future cash flow plus resale value converts their value, okay? How to estimate, how do you know 10 years how much my property worth or your property worth? Very simple. In the last 10 years, look like most property has gone up for, let's say, 30% or 50%. If most property gone up 50%, that's back good old days, right? Then you say, well, 10 years later, my property would go up 50% also. So if I paid $1 million, my property would what, be $1.5 million. That's how you estimate them. But remember how difficult to estimate property value and the risk? How do you know 10 years you get 50% in this environment? You're lucky you get 10%, right? You're lucky it didn't go down more. We were discussing it could go down more, okay? So 3-year building, I already explained that, so I'm going to skip that. Sales comp, you got to cover all those items. Condition of the sales, financing items, okay? Condition sales is seller under stress. Well, in today's environment, every seller is under stress almost, right? So that's not a real, doesn't represent the real picture, okay? Then also, is this seller under what? because he's moved. He has to sell that property because the job situation and the different situation, but he has to move. Those are not the normal condition. Those all need to be considered. Financing terms. How did the bank finance? Did the guy borrow money from mother-in-law or borrow money from hard money or from lender? That represent different value for your property. Okay? You understand now, right? You agree with me. And then your market conditions. How long take it to market property? Used to 3 months, lucky. Now, a year or 2, right? If you don't get fired by your listing company says you didn't do anything, actually you did, but market condition, right? So your location, everything location, location, location. And then your physical characteristics, size, function, right? And your amenities, all that stuff. Those are all the risk part I mentioned earlier too, right? And then if you cover all those, then you make adjustments. We mentioned this briefly earlier. How do you make adjustments? How do you think those adjustments are fair? You might think, well, with this 3-year-old property, we should discount 50%. My opinion, I might think maybe 60%, not 50. You see what I'm saying? So you got to know the macro economy, knows what's happening nationally and locally, okay, to know how to discount them. So once adjustment made, the more it's made, the less reliability of your property. Final reconciliation, we're almost there. Once you use your direct capitalization method, you use your sales count method, in case you do use cost method, most people don't now. Doesn't mean anything, okay? Then you come up with a final number. So you have your property value. Finally, due diligence, no matter who you are, your developer, your banker, your broker, your investors, you all do your due diligence. And if you ever have any questions, I can help. Okay? So thank you and good luck.